Welcome to the Healing Hour. I'm your host, Tyhson Banighen. I'm with you for the next hour to answer all your questions on dowsing and energy healing. And today we have a guest, soon to be possibly a co-host, Kory Varlen, who will be talking about what's up with planets and stars and moons and horoscopes and solstices and equinoxes and all of that. So stay tuned. The way to reach us for your free reading or your free insight or some guidance to get you from where you are to where you want to be in the shortest amount of time, phone in toll free 1-866-369-7464. The number is on your screen. If you're coming in internationally, you can use the WhatsApp. It's 1 for Canada, 250-803-2480. And come in my WhatsApp. And of course, if you want to join us on Zoom, just type in Tyhson or that same number I just gave you, 250-803-2480, and you'll be the first one to be able to answer or ask a question and get an answer. So Kory, can you hear us? Well, we can see Kory, but we can't hear. So lots happening this week. We just went through, what did we go through? We went through a summer solstice. It seems like we just did a spring. And here we are in the middle of it all, and with a lot of energy coming. And yeah, on this time of planetary change and transformation. Maybe we're having a little Mercury retrograde because it seems like the technology doesn't work either. We've got Kory waving at us, but hey, Kory, say something.
Can you hear me, Tyhson?
Now I can hear you. My good God. Earth to planet. Kory, come in, please.
Well, that's what happens when you get a summer solstice combined with a freaking Mercury retrograde.
Well, welcome to the show. So tell us all about this solstice and Mercury retrograde and moons and cosmological beeps and bumps and burps.
Well, I'd like to, but first of all, I think I'm hearing feedback from my
That's probably from the cosmos.
Hang on a second. It says.
Anyway, don't forget you can phone in toll free during this hour and maybe get convince Kory to give you a moon reading, or you can also have a clearing for myself. Just phone in toll free 1-866-369-7464. The number is on your screen. This is your show. This is your time to have an experience with us. So yeah, so what were you about to say, Kory? We cannot hear her. Her mouth is moving, her lips are moving, she's smiling, her red hair is shining, but we can't hear a ruddy word. All right, so what's up on planet Earth this week? We know that we have had a solstice, lots of good energy flowing through. The light is at its maximum. I find it really quite amazing that we're at this point already. Seems like we just started spring, but anyway, that's the way it is. And so this afternoon we have Garden Like a Guru show at 3 p.m. Come and learn about how you can manage your garden all the way through the year, from everything from planting to tending to weeding, according to the astrological energies, and of course the moon's phases, using biodynamics and organic gardening, and also permaculture. All that is woven together in the show to help you become the garden guru yourself, whether you're growing vegetables on a balcony, in your back or front yard, or whether you're using containers. And don't forget, we have a competition. We want pictures from your garden, send them in, because the person that wins that will have $50 worth of seeds. So that would be well worth doing, right? So send us your pictures of your garden and ask us questions and tell us what you're finding successful and not so successful in your garden. Don't forget, you can join us in the Inner Garden Circle. It's $33 a month. You get a free calendar and you get a free journal. And at the $99 a month, you get to have some advice Bob, the garden guru herself, which is Sarah Bradshaw. So all this has to do with planets and alignments and what they have to do with the vegetable kingdom and producing food that's aligned to our own energy of what we need, which is really quite exciting when you think about that. We actually get to eat the vegetables and fruits from our garden at exactly the right time for the proper nourishment. That vegetable or that fruit is ready for us to eat in the garden and has all of the cosmological energy that it's downloaded and uploaded from the soil and from the stars exactly in the nutrient level and density for each one of us that have been tending the garden. Now that's really pretty exciting when you think about it that way. So I don't know if Kory can hear us yet or whether she can speak yet. So
I can hear
Kory,
you, Tyhson. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. So what's up with all these planets and whatnot?
Well, I think what I would really just like to share today with everyone listening is that the day revolves around accomplishment. And so, if anyone would like to share with us today what they might consider to be a major accomplishment, I would encourage them to do so. And for anybody listening, I would also just encourage all of you wonderful people out there to just look back on your life and give yourself some credit. You know, Tyhson, most of us are way too easy to jump to judgment. Have you not noticed this?
Well, I think I've noticed that, yeah, I've already been judging myself this morning when I know that when, my judgment is I still think I'm in charge. And it's really hard to let go of the addiction that somehow I'm in control of my life when I'm not. So,
And
yeah,
I think, yeah, and I think life as you get older really tends to to burn this lesson deep into our soul. Because quite frankly, I really don't think we are in control here. I've just had too many experiences of life, you know, when they talk about being in the flow. Well, whose flow is that anyways? It's like when you're meditating. Like where is that space and time and consciousness coming from? It seems to me that we are just being breathed. You know, it's like our breath. We don't have to do anything. Our breath breathes us. And I've just noticed our life tends to live us. And I've just noticed that, especially with Mercury retrograde, a lot of times people get into kind of a poor me, oh, woe is me, and they bitch and complain. And it's kind of like they really don't see that's what's behind all the chaos is quite a state of order. But we're just, you know, we're too close. Our life goes by too fast. And yet, paradoxically, we all complain, you know, that everything takes too freaking long. So today, and in honor of my Astral Inspiration cards, which took me 2 decades to figure out, the key cosmic algorithm for the day is all about accomplishment. And if you look at the people born on today's date, they're just amazing people. And I'm not going to get into a list of who's who because I want to talk to people and I want to get through to people today to encourage everyone just to, you know, sit back with a cup of tea or whatever refreshes you and hits the spot and just think about some of your major accomplishments in your life because this is the day to do it. You know, Tyhson, when the sun is at its highest peak, that's the summer solstice for us in the northern hemisphere, and for those of our colleagues in the southern hemisphere, this is the first day of winter, right?
I know.
So
Yeah.
it's a day of extreme. It's a day of extreme, and people need to just give themselves a little, I think, TLC today because there's quite a tendency to go to extremes today.
Yeah, I found today that I really haven't really accomplished anything, but I have when I think about it. And basically, this is sort of like a day out of the day. In other words, it's sort of like letting the day unfold in its own way. It's certainly not a day where pushing is accomplishing anything. One thing about Mercury retrograde, what you said really sort of struck a note with me in a new way, and that is you can't have something newborn without having dissolution of what already was. So Mercury retrograde is really telling us that what was no longer needs to exist and it's being dissipated as new energies come through. So there's two ways to look at Mercury retrograde. Oh, ain't it awful? It's all falling apart. Or ain't it great that something new is coming, right?
Yes, and I would harken back to late May, to the last couple of days of May when Mercury began its retrograde cycle. And it's going to be breaking as of tomorrow.
Oh,
And I,
goody.
Yes, and I always caution people never to buy any big ticket items during a Mercury retrograde because invariably, Tyson, something will go wrong with that brand new piece of equipment or appliance. Never fails. Astrologers laugh at this because we see it coming and yet it's like we can't help ourselves. Do you know, in the last 3 days, I've had about 10 people call me with issues relating to cars, mostly vehicles, especially when Mercury's in Gemini. So anything to do with communication, such as computers, software, scammers. Wow, has that been big news in the last week that's come across my desk?
Yeah, certainly scammers in all sorts of shapes, forms. That's certainly been showing up in my life. Some of them very enticing, I might add.
Oh,
But yes,
tell us more.
tell us more. Yeah, you never know, but you have to follow your intuition. When the bell starts ringing,
Yeah.
beware, beware.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing with Mercury retrograde. And I always think of Oprah on a Mercury retrograde because Oprah always says, you know, rather than giving a yes or a no, she always tells someone who's offering her something or trying to get her to buy something. She says, I'll pray on it. And I think that's really good. When Mercury goes into retrograde for 3 weeks, we should all literally get down on our knees and start praying.
Yes, because most likely somebody might be trying to prey on you, right?
That's true. That's the PREY homonym, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. So why, praying so that people don't prey on you is probably a good thing to do during Mercury retrograde. So when you get that phone call and the bell goes off and it just doesn't seem right, it probably isn't, right?
And in fact, I think it's a good time not to be cynical, but just to be cautious, to invoke, because chaos is just abundant on a Mercury retrograde. So you have to pull in the opposite direction, the yin yang. You have
Yeah.
to accept the fact that there is order and chaos in the world. And with Mercury retrograde, you need to sort of push down on that gas pedal of order because the chaos pedal is already like you're already flying in what, fourth gear. So, but
Yeah, I just
Mercury,
want
yeah.
to mention something about all of that. I mean, I have been wrestling with computers for as long as I care to remember, and it's certainly tied with the energy of Mercury retrograde, where my computer seems to want to crash right across the board and have to be everything reinstalled at the beginning of Mercury retrograde. I never really thought about it from Mercury retrograde point of view, but
Mhm.
this time around, I spent a month and got it all figured out, and then I did an image of it. So next retrograde or at any time when my computer crashes, I just load in the new drive and we're up and running. So one of the things about Mercury retrograde is it could teach you how to prepare for the inevitable, right? Like make sure that your computer is backed up or make sure you have
Yeah.
an image to your computer so
Yeah.
that if something crazy like Mercury retrograde happens. Other
Mhm.
thing I'd like to say about Mercury retrograde and that energy is if you're an empath, most likely you've discovered, at least I have at certain periods of my life, where as an empath, technology will just not work for me. So, for example, at one period in my life, I couldn't wear a watch because the
Mm.
watch would stop dead, right? So, remember your energy of you being upset or energetically out of sorts around technology is going to adversely affect your technology. You and your technology are more one than you could ever imagine. And because of that empathic connection, not only you sending that energy, but you're receiving it. So just a cautious awareness about your energy, your emotions, your feelings, and how you process them, particularly around retrograde energies when you're empath.
Well, and here's a heads up, and everyone can put this in their diary right now.
All
Write
right.
this down. The next Mercury retrograde is coming in the last 3 days of September.
Okay.
Basically Monday. Actually, it's the 27th. So the next Mercury retrograde is going to hit Librans. So
Oh, my favorite
all
sign.
you Librans, make sure you've got more than one. Make sure you've got a few thumb drives holding all of your precious files, my friends, because on the 27th, of September, Mercury will go retrograde at 25 degrees of Libra, which means for all you folks who are born around the middle of October, Mercury is going to go retrograde right over your solar sun degree. And
Yeah, and another
conversely,
thing about certainly being a Libra, and the time from between Libra and the new year for me is the most powerful time for synthesis and integration of everything I've learned for that year. So you don't want to be having your computer crash in the middle of your synthesis and integration. So
definitely not, Tyson. Definitely not. And because we did have, and I spoke about this not last week, because we all played hooky last week,
yeah, we did.
but,
I had to go to the dentist.
but the week before, remember I was talking about
Yeah,
not only the lunar eclipse in May, but the solar eclipse that happened this month.
yeah.
And that solar eclipse is really affecting people born across the Gemini Sagittarius axis. And I know you have some planets, or your moon, I believe, is in Sagittarius. And so the um, the solar eclipse is a very playful eclipse, but it's also a very magical eclipse. And so you're speaking about empaths. If you are a Sagittarian or a Gemini, or if you have any planets that hook up to the eclipse, and I'd have to, do someone's chart to find that, you get this download, and the download is one of pure magic. We're moving into a time period in the next 3 months, and we're basically in it now, where just expect magical things to happen. And if you have a lot of feminine receptive energy, you can pull that magic to you more easily than at other times.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. I need a little more magic in my life.
We all do.
I think we all have magic in our life. We just forget that we have magic in our life. I mean, I think that's why probably writing down in my manifestation book has been so helpful, because so many things manifest in our lives and we don't really pay attention to it. We just think, oh, that's normal. But if you write it down and honor it, it's really quite amazing how much magic does work
Yes.
and manifests in our lives, right?
Yes, and to me, magic is tied in with gratitude, which actually
Absolutely.
was the cosmic algorithm for yesterday. When people buy my cards, there is a key concept for every day, and so you kind of know what the energy flow is for the day. And word, yesterday's cosmic algorithm, the synthesis of what was going on yesterday, and there's a spillover into today because of leap year. The cards will affect one. It's kind of like my moon um, analysis. You get the day before, you get the day after, so you get this kind of a 3-day glow around you. And so yesterday's cosmic algorithm was about gratitude, which is still in play for today. So I would definitely encourage everyone to still feel, say your affirmations, write them out in your diary, and just get freaking grateful for your life and for the fact that you are a magical being. We all are, Tyson.
Right. Yeah. Freaking awesome. I like that. Yeah. Yeah.
We all are. We are all wonderful, awesome creatures. And I think if we could all get up in the beginning of our day and just expect to have a joyful day, like, why not?
Yeah. Why not? Because the alternative is not fun. So yeah, so why not be joyful, and why not manifest more joy into our lives? And if you're listening to the show and would like to have a conversation with us, or maybe figure out where your moon is, or maybe understand a little bit more about the solstice, or receive a clearing, or just have a chat with us, don't forget you can phone in toll free 1-866-369-7464. I know this is a new schedule and people haven't been used to being able to know this is where we are and this is where we are roosting or nesting, so to speak, every week. But we are here live for 1 hour, 1 p.m. Pacific every Monday. So come and join us, right? You can ask us questions in the Wellness Show on Facebook, or the Dowsing and Energy Healing, and we'll try and get your questions answered there as well. But even better, why don't you come and join us by phoning in or joining us on Zoom?
And while people are debating whether they'll call us or getting the number, I wanted to share with you something I learned last night, Tyson, which is just amazing. Have you heard of a man by the name of James Nestor?
No.
He's a scientific journalist, and he's just written an amazing book about the breath and breathing. And he's basically researched a lot of Vedic Buddhist traditions of breathing. He's not discovered anything new, but he's just reintroducing it to the public. And I do what's called alternate nostril breathing. You may have heard of that.
Yeah, yeah.
But he showed something last night that I found quite fascinating. And for most of us, as you know, because most of us are right-handed, we're dominated by the left hemisphere. And he was showing a breathing technique for you to open up your right hemisphere. Would you like me to demonstrate?
Oh, absolutely. I was reading about this 2 nights ago, which was on Tantra and the connection between the left nostril, the right nostril, and the Ida and the Bengali.
Great minds think alike.
Yeah.
Well, let me share because it was really quite something. And I noticed it immediately because what he says is we've got to open up our right hemisphere because that controls, the left side of our, the right hemisphere is the side that sees the bigger picture. It sees
the intuitive part, right?
Sees the meaning of everything.
Right.
Whereas the left hemisphere takes care of all the details.
That's right.
So now let me just show you how this works. It's so simple. You have to basically just, please do it with me, Tyhson.
Right.
You have to just plug your right nostril and breathe in through your left nostril. And you're going to breathe in and you're going to breathe out just through your left nostril 2 or 3 or 4 times. Okay, here we go. I do what's called alternate nostril breathing. You may have heard of that.
Yeah, yeah.
But and for people who may be watching this later on Facebook, I would just encourage you every time you breathe in and breathe out to hold it for longer and longer. And what it will do is it immediately will start to open up the right hemisphere of your brain. And it will relax you. And it is even more impressive than alternate nostril breathing because I teach my clients to do that.
Oh, interesting, because I was immediately calming down. I was immediately dropping into my heart. And it reminds me when I'm out with the horses on Friday and I just hang on the fence with the horses and the horses calm down. They go into what I call one with the herd, or they go into the zone. And you can meet them there. It's just like pure bliss, right? They're just, their heads go down and their eyes, they just relax.
I want to come
not so much with these horses because they're still coming out of their trauma, but certainly with Elizabeth and Ryan's horses, who literally run as a herd together, you hang out with them, you are in the zone, completely quickly with them.
I'm wondering if you've heard of my friend Sandra Wallen. She does a lot of work with horses and healing. And she does a lot of workshops all over the world now with her. She has a herd and she does quite wonderful work. But yes, and one of my clients is an equine therapist, and it's amazing the healing power of horses.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Elizabeth Ryan's, you get to have a healing with the horses, and I'm hoping that we can set this up where we are with the rescued horses, but we have to, well, I guess the rescued horses really are helping us rescue ourselves. So it's been really quite an interesting experience working with them. Initially, because of being empathic, I found myself absolutely exhausted after just hanging with the horses for a couple of hours until I realized, hey, I'm processing their energy through my body, and I wasn't realizing that I was doing that. So I'm not much more cautious about that. I mean, I'm aware of not doing that with humans, but I realized that I was empathically open to the horses and running that through. So that was
one thing I've discovered, because I've been in this field like you for many, many, many decades. And have you not noticed, Tyhson, that so many empaths are very heavy? They're quite heavy.
Not this one.
Well, most of them carry
I know, but it's taken me forever to not be heavy.
Yeah, but they carry a fair amount of weight. And that's because empaths, it's, when you're empathic with someone, it's very different than being compassionate. Compassion is, you can kind of relate to what the person is going through, but an empath actually feels what someone else is going through. And in my experience, some of the best empaths and like some of the best psychics are quite heavy because they have to have that energy in the physical body to ground them.
Yeah, well,
And I,
I'm moving away from that, and I agree with you. It takes me a lot of effort and physical exercise and right diet and also intermittent fasting to be able
yeah,
to maintain a proper. But it's an ongoing thing, right? Otherwise, I'll just blow up like a balloon. I look at food and I will, I will wear it immediately, right? Breathe it in and I wear it.
yeah. Well, that's why I love the whole so-called Aquarian, shift we're going through, which is, the old mindset was, yes, you had to be heavy and you had to, be grounded. And that meant, being very corporal and, in
Yeah,
your body. Whereas, the new, I'd say, um, it's kind of like the new concept for all of us now is we can be slim and we can be lithe and flexible. We don't have to carry all that extra weight just because we're working and healing with our clients. So I really like where we're going. The Eastern traditions are finally permeating our Western culture.
well, I know that this is something you've been working on yourself, just like I have around diet and everything. Do you want to talk a bit about what you've been doing in your life about
Sure. Love to.
empathic and diet and everything? We do have a guest, and Jack. So Jack, if you want to type in any question now that you're here, and if you have a question, we can bring you on live. So I think we can just give you permission to be able to type in your comments or ask a
Sure.
question. Yeah.
And what I would also recommend is I've been following a number of amazing people with my transition because I literally went through 3 death experiences, and I think I mentioned this 2 weeks ago. And so the physical death experience was kind of like a shock for my body. And it just kind of shifted me into a different way of nourishing myself. And so now I'm basically plant-based. I'm still having an occasional protein meal of chicken or fish, but I'm literally lightening up in so many ways, and I love it. And I have so much more energy. I don't need the amount of meat that I used to eat, and I don't need alcohol in my body anymore. In fact, my body doesn't even want it.
Well, join the club. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting how your body just once you have come off of meat, and that your body just doesn't need it and doesn't really want it, right?
Well, I've created a whole new microbiome in my body, and it's like all these, I think there's like trillions of these little microbes in our gut that basically, they have a consciousness, and mine seem to they really like their kale and spinach.
Yeah, well, you're my type of girl because kale and spinach are my favorite. All right up there with the beet greens. I like my beet greens. So I had a feed of
Yeah.
beet greens yeah, last night, which was just wonderful, right? I like them more than the beets. Not that I don't like beets, but beet
Mm.
greens are pretty amazing.
Well, I come from a Russian, my mother's side is Russian, and we do a lot of pickled beets in my family.
Well, then you'd like the borscht that we have out here too. So
I'm
what?
coming. When's dinner?
Yeah, right. So what sort of Russian background do you have?
My mother's side are from Russia.
What part? Do you know?
Um, Basically near Transylvania.
That says a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, basically on the Romanian border.
Right. So
Yeah,
Romanian descent.
basically, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's interesting because my mother had black hair and almost black eyes, and my father had strawberry blonde hair and green eyes.
Wow.
And so,
You know where that's from.
and so my siblings, people don't know we're a family when they look at us because we're all
All
we're,
different.
we're
Yeah,
so
I think
different.
those blue eyes and that hair came from when Alexander the Great went through. You can see that all the way through. If you go to the northern part of India, up in up in right against the border there, you can see these people with the most intense eyes, right, and shocking
Yeah.
hair, and Alexander the Great army went through there, right, and that mixture of blood is just so striking, right, of that,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and the
Well,
genetic codes.
yeah, well, Right, and who can forget that National Geographic cover, right, of
Oh,
that
yeah, exactly. Yeah, of
of
that, those
that
eyes.
young woman? Oh my God, so
Yeah.
striking, so striking. So who do we have to help here, Tyson? Who can we be of service to today?
Well, I think he's disappeared, so I don't know what happened to him. So if you want to phone in, we had him here for a moment, and then I thought then he could type in, but he's gone.
Oh,
So anyway, if you want, if you're, don't be shy to come in as a guest. You just type in Tyson, and we'll bring you in, and we'll see you, and then you can type in a question right there, and we can get it, or we'll bring you on and turn your mic on, and you can ask us a question. Of course, you could phone in to toll free North America 1-866-369-7464 and talk to us about genetics and lineages and uh, well, talking about where you're Ukrainian and around around the border with Transylvania, a lot of people that I worked from there are highly psychic,
yes, yes,
highly psychic.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
My mother, my grandmother, probably I didn't know my great grandmother, but all the women in my family are psychically in tune. I have stories, Dyson. People don't even believe it. Things that happen between myself and my sisters and brothers, just crazy stuff. I mean, we're so in sync with each other. Mind you, for the first 10 years of my life, I had to sleep with my older sister. So that definitely entrained our brain waves. But
Right.
our entire family, in fact, my younger brother, before he passed, in fact, he's even stronger now that he's passed because he doesn't have his body, but he certainly has a consciousness. And myself and my younger sister feel him all the time. And he's starting to begin a whole new initiation in the dimension that he's in. My younger brother was almost scary. He was so powerful. He reminded me of Rasputin.
Yeah, well, that's the same sort of bloodline, right?
Yeah, but here he is. He's got all the power that my mother's side had with my father's dashingly good looks.
Wow. Well, what can you say about that? Yeah. So
Yeah,
did he have red hair, or did he have the eyes, or what did he have the more,
he
which side?
had he had the exact coloring of my father. He had strawberry blonde hair and devastating blue eyes.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
piercing blue eyes, which are
yeah.
really symptomatic of a high psychic ability, right?
Well, unfortunately, he got kind of caught up in the drug scene, when he was a
Well,
teenager,
that's, the
and
dark
it
shadow part
really,
of it, right?
it really, really screwed him up,
Well,
unfortunately.
and let's be honest about this. If you are playing on the dark side and you are telepathic like that, then you can get yourself in a lot of trouble really, really quick. And look, if you're an empath and listening to this show right now, look, you're not here to fit in, so stop it already. You're here to change the world, so just stop it already. Uh, the whole process of trying to fit in for your brother was overwhelming, and so they tend to go to drugs
Well,
to
he couldn't. I mean, from the time he was 7 years old, I could see in him his power, and I could see how, in a way, he was very introverted, and he didn't fit in. He never fit in.
exactly, that's what I mean. And he didn't know how
Never.
to fit in. Who
No,
put him on this planet anyway?
no,
So
no.
I mean, if there's anything that I know for myself, and probably Kory as well, is we want to work with those type of people that are empathic at any age. We want you to honor your gifts and your empathic gifts, because they're really what's needed at this time for planetary transformation, and helping you understand that these are gifts that are unique, and you're not here to fit into the status quo. You can't do that. You will literally kill your soul by trying to do that. So best to find a group of like-minded people to work with that will support you through all the change and transformation, understand who you are and why you're here. And so if you're that type of person, then we really do have programs that will help you become grounded in your body, fully connected to source, and able to deliver your empathic gifts to the world. So give us a call. Yeah.
Please, please do. And you know what? There is just no stopping our evolution. It's just, it's a fait accompli, as they say in French. It's going to happen regardless. When you flick on that switch in your kitchen, the light goes on. Who knows how it works? I certainly don't. I have no idea how the astrological, cosmological cycles work, but I know they work. And I know you, as a healer, Tyson, have incredible, I'm sure, stories to share. Like it just, you just open yourself up to your gifts and to why you're here. And a lot of people do that through prayer. A lot of people just do that through meditation. But as they say, ask and the door will be opened.
Yeah.
Most people don't ask. And when you're in trouble and when you need help, there's so much help available now. You just have to reach out.
Yeah, absolutely. Just reach out, and that's what we're here for. So, um, Tilly Antonia Tilly, great name, says great stories. Yeah, we can't help it. We're always storytelling, right? Um, Powerful stories of transformation. I'm trying to remember the book that I read that has to do with the inner in the inner sanctum, or how would I describe it? I surely we shouldn't be talking about something I can't remember very well, but there's a series of books, and one of them has to do with the very area you're talking about. And he was part of the Secret Service for Romania, and actually was trained as at the highest level. See, one of the things that national governments do is they find the psychic kids, right? And they try and co-opt them into the service in the military or into the military industrial complex so that they can be of service to the state or the state agenda. Anyway, he was smart enough to know what was happening to him and able to maintain his own integrity and not be fragmented into the whole, which is usually the attempt is to literally, anyway, we don't need to go there. But anyway, so he became head of the Secret Service. And because of that, he had inner knowledge about where these particular ancient civilization repositories of information. He was guided to one of these areas deep in the mountains in which he was able to go there. And the exciting thing about that is that when you think about this, what it means is that all upper level technologies have a safety code to them, which is your own energy field. So the key to opening them is whether you're at the right frequency. So if you and I were to end up at this repository of information deep within the mountain, and we weren't at the right frequency, and we went to try and go through, that we would get zapped, or the door would not open. If you're at the right frequency, the door opens. I love this idea because when people have said to me, "Oh, we can't have this type of technology on the planet now because it could be co-opted." No, the higher level technology can't be co-opted by anybody because you can't use it unless you're at the right frequency. Anyway, this was able to be opened up, and the technology that was available was absolutely amazing in this inner sanctum that had been preserved from a past civilization. So why am I saying this? I'm saying that your psychic gifts are the source or the pathway to higher dimensional levels of reality, where you will be reconnected through your ancestral lineage to knowledge that needs to come onto this planet at this particular time. So even the simple exercise that Kory was giving you, where you're breathing through that one nostril and calming down that intellectual side of your brain that thinks it's in charge and has to figure everything out, and allowing yourself to come into your intuition, you will be guided to be in the right place at the right time to have some of these experiences, which for Kory's lineage were second nature, right? They just happen.
Absolutely. In fact, my mother was actually quite famous. I grew up in White Rock, not White Rock. I used to go to White Rock a lot. I grew up in North Surrey, and we used to go to White Rock a lot. But the police used to come and visit my mom about, I don't know, once every couple of months, and she'd help them solve crimes. She was kind of like the local, well, they used to call her like the local witch, but my mom was a healer and she knew stuff. She knew every woman that was pregnant on our block. She knew the sex of the baby, like mother even knew it.
Wow.
And, Yeah, but what you were saying, Tyson, is really cool because, you know, it's like you don't get wisdom. I think Jung used to say it, like he said, kind of beware of unearned wisdom. But really, when you really become effective, you don't really get to be effective until you have developed a certain level of wisdom. I know for me, it's taken many decades, and I'm still, I'm still diving into my treasure trove. But you really can't hurt people. You can't harm people. You're always going to find the right therapist. You're always going to find the right person that will be the key for your next step in your evolution. Because you're only given. It's like languages. It's like when I lived in South America for 10 years, and it's like over the years, my Spanish got better and better. But like when I first got there, I couldn't understand what they were saying because I didn't have the words. I didn't have that knowledge. And our spiritual life is like that. It's like, you will develop a vocabulary that can literally change your life. But
Yeah.
until you develop that vocabulary, you won't understand anything.
Yeah, and that's really true. But I mean, the latest book from J.J. Ertag is all about the light language, right? And light language is beyond symbols, beyond written words, beyond, it's all vibrational light. And in that is encoded, levels and levels and levels of consciousness that you get downloaded with. So the language of light is a precursor to any third dimensional language or written form, or, before the Upanishads and before any of the written or Sanskrit. So the language of light is really what we are being flooded with now, particularly through all of these, alignments, cosmological alignments that we're having, with the center of the galaxies and also the center of the multiverse.
Well,
That flood,
here's a quick little story for you. When I was 11 years old, we moved. We moved from North Surrey, which is just outside of Vancouver, up
yeah,
to the Okanagan to Kelowna. And my dad bought a kind of like a trailer park business with like tenting, and it's really cool. It's quite undeveloped, but he built it up into quite a big business eventually. But when I was 11 years old, I met my first teacher, and he showed me an astrology chart, and I knew how to read it.
oh, cool.
I had never seen one before. And he showed me what an astrologer, he said, well, what's your sign? And I said, oh, I'm a Taurus. I knew that basic stuff. And he said, I'm going to, are you interested in this stuff? And I said, sure. And he was into everything, crystals and numerology and you name it, aliens. But he showed me an astrological wheel with, the symbols for the
Yeah.
planet, the circle. And like, I knew what it was. It's like I had this instantaneous awareness that I had learned this somewhere and some place, sometime I had learned this. And by the time I was 16, I had my own radio show in Kelowna.
So let me ask you this. So is your family connected to the gypsy lineage at all?
To what?
The gypsy lineage?
Oh, probably. Most
Because
likely.
that's what I'm getting at. Either
Most
this
likely.
lifetime or past lifetime, you were part of the gypsies, and
Most
therefore you
likely.
have this innately in your blood, right?
Yeah. Well, and gypsies are infamously over familiar with alcohol. And my grandmother married well, my grandfather, who was an alcoholic. And a lot of gypsies have a very, like Native Americans, they have very low tolerance for alcohol. And I do as well. Good thing
Yeah,
I don't drink it anymore.
yeah,
But oh yeah, I can feel the gypsy blood in me because I love to travel. I
right.
move around and I love it. And
Yeah,
people
me
can't
too.
believe it. They say you're a tourist and you've lived in 25 places in your life. And I say, yeah. And my younger sister's lived in 50.
Wow, amazing. Well, we've only got a few minutes to go here, but there is time for, we got about 7 more minutes to go for the top of the hour. And we are open to anybody phoning in and asking us about their moon sign or getting an insight about what's happening in their lives, because we're both telepathetic in our own unique ways. So phone in toll free 1-866-369-7464. And you'll be surprised when we come together and we can bounce off of each other really quickly, and you'll be surprised what we can what doorways we can open up for you if you're ready, willing, and able. So there you
Well,
go.
and here's a thought today, because the moon's in Scorpio, and that could be why people are being quiet. Because when the moon's in Scorpio, there is a tendency to go within
That's
and to
true.
kind of, conserve your energy. So I'm sure there's a lot of people listening, and they're just enjoying our conversation, because that's what Scorpios do. They get very focused.
Well,
That's what
Miss
they
Tilly, it's free to call in. It's a free service, toll free in North America, 1-866-369-746. And there's no charge, right?
Yeah,
No charge.
yeah.
Well, there's a charge. That's our energy, but there's no money charge.
Well, they'll certainly get a charge, and they'll get a double zap from both of us.
That's right. Wow. So what can we say is happening moon-wise and energy-wise coming up?
Well, again, I would just um, play on the fact that Mercury is now moving as of tomorrow. It's moving
Yeah.
direct. And so all of the Geminis and the Sagittarians born from, I'd say, from about June the 7th till the end of Gemini, and the same with Sagittarius. Basically, it's the same time frame, but 6 months later. They're all going to start feeling like they can go forward now, forward movement. So everybody, go out and buy yourself a new freezer or a new car or new phone. Um, it's really fun when Mercury's in Gemini, because Mercury, that's its home base. Every planet has a home sign, and
Yeah.
Mercury's home sign is Gemini and Virgo. And so I'm sure people will be getting back into communication mode as of tomorrow evening and Wednesday and Thursday, as we move progressively into the Mercury direct cycle. So, and again, today, the key word is accomplishment. And think
Right.
about this for today and tomorrow, because this energy will be permeating the cosmos, our little Taurus around the Earth energy field. And just think about what you've done. And it doesn't have to be big and grand, The fact
Yeah,
that you made a,
I
the
think
fact
it's
that you
like
might have gotten out of bed today could be an accomplishment.
you might want to write it down because, as you said, the power is in the gratitude, right? So here's my little gains book here. That's the opening to it for gratitude, and it gets written in those major things that happen that are manifested out of the blue or seemingly out of the blue or synchronistically into my life. And I got many pages in there where I try and make a record of it, and sometimes I forget for a week or so. But the more I can honor the flow of beneficence that I receive from the universe, the more that flow gets increased, right? It's
Yeah.
thank you, thank you, thank you, and then thank you, thank you, thank you again, right?
And smiling. I mean, just walk down the street and smile. There's nothing more attractive. There's nothing more loving, nothing more sexy than watching someone smile. It just lights you up, and it lights up the people that are lucky enough to see you.
Well, I'm just gonna, in the last few minutes, we're planning to do a 12 around one gathering here in person at the September long weekend. It's restricted or not, I don't mean to say restricted but we want to have 12 people. We found having 12 people in the same place at the same time, absolute magic. A manifestation happens almost instantaneous, spontaneously. And so it's a co-creative experience of how to work around 12 around one. So if you feel called to come, there will be some bed space, tenting space. You can join us online by Zoom, but the real event will be for those 12 people that gather around the campfire. We'll be doing a sacred shoe shop outing. There's talk about renting a houseboat. I don't know if that will actually happen, but there's certainly be swimming, massage, healing, restoration, sound sessions, Tai Chi, Qigong, boating, swimming, and all those good things. So if you're looking for the end of the summer, a time to get together with like-minded psychic people and learn what it is to manifest into reality your dreams with the power of 12 around one, then give us a thought, put it in your calendar, and let's make it happen.
And what are the dates for that, Tyhson?
I don't know, whatever the long weekend is. I guess it will be, I'm guessing it will be last week in August and the first 2 days in September, I would think, right?
I'm not sure because September, um,
When
September,
everybody here goes back
yeah,
to school and
yeah,
everybody leaves us alone and we have the whole lake to ourselves.
well, September 6th is a Monday.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you're referring to like,
Well, I will
would
look
that
for
be
the
the
labor.
5th?
What's the Labor Day long weekend? Google it.
Probably the 3rd, 4th, and 5th
All
of
right. Well, then
September.
that's what it is. Yeah. Well, the first weekend in September. Let's put it that way.
Great.
All right. So we're excited about doing that, and don't forget, it'd be great if you could be here in person. But if you can't, we're going to have some sessions by Zoom, right? So one more a minute to go to the top of the hour. What amazing thing would you like to end with?
Well, just to say to encourage people to attend your ceremony, I just noticed in the ephemeris, it'll be the dark of the moon, which will be
Ooh,
incredibly magical. And it'll be a great time for stargazing as well.
well,
It'll
that's
be the dark of the moon. The moon won't rise until sunrise. So how lucky. That's a great time.
yeah, that'll be
Have any kind of
because
ceremony.
a lot of it will be outside around the campfire. So
Beautiful.
yeah.
Beautiful.
All right, it's the top of the hour. Thank you, everybody. If you've been listening to the show, we're back every Monday, same time, same place, 1 p.m. Pacific time. I think that's 4 p.m., isn't it? Eastern Standard. I think it's 2 Mountain, 3 Central. And so come and join us. Phone in toll free, North America, 1-866-369. Get your questions answered. If you got any questions or comments, you can pop them in at the Wellness show on Facebook or the Dowsing and Energy Healing closed Facebook group. And what is your group, Kory, where they could ask questions in your group?
Well, they can just go to my Facebook page, Astral Inspiration, or they can find, I do a little short video every Friday on Instagram.
Yeah.
And it's kind of fun. It always it highlights one of my cards. So
yeah, let's make sure that those get back into the wellness show. I'll give you permission to post them without having to get my stamp of approval. And so, so through the week, if you want to be in touch with Kory and what the energies for each day are in the Astral cards, then head over to the Wellness Show on Facebook, and you'll be able to read the cards there. All right, bye for now.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.